Yo, what's up guys? This one is called COMPS, aka how do I try to not get ripped off as a writer? I got some notes here. So Johnny, shout out to Johnny for asking this question in comment section of one of my other videos, said, what's the best way to start to learn how to do comps, you know? Because I think that's the video it was in. I said, there's 3 things you need to know: how to write, how to be good in a room, and how to do like basic comps. So you can have some idea whether or not, you know, the offer to you on your script is bullshit and you're getting ripped off, you know? It's a very hard question to answer. Very difficult. Anyway, first of all, I want to say, I've never heard an agent call it a comp. I mean, in real estate, they call it a comp, but in the film industry, I've never personally, not that I can remember, heard them call it a comp. So if you went to an agent and said, how do you guys do comps? They might say, I don't know what you're talking about. But then if you said, what I'm talking about is how do you price out a deal to know that your client's getting a good deal? You know, how do you build that out? You know, then they would say, oh, that part. I know what you're talking about now. Let me say this first of all. You ask a lot of writers, do you know what your script is worth? And they'll be like, yeah, $1 million. And you're like, great. How are you determining that? You know, you want to stump a writer who tells you the script is worth $1 million? Tell them to explain how they came to that conclusion. They'll be like, because it's good. Or I got a 10 on the blacklist. It's like, that doesn't, no. Like, the studio world does not consider a 10 on the blacklist as to what they're going to pay you for it. No, they don't care about that. One thing, okay, so I'll tell you the best way. The best way is to be an agent. Another good way, and you'll see that I'm being sarcastic here. Another good way is be a manager. Another good way is be married to an agent and ask them a shit ton of questions. Be married to an agent for 20 years, ask them a shit ton of questions, how the deals went down, blah, 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 and then make your own deals. Be a studio exec. So all of those are probably unrealistic for most brand new writers trying to break in, right? Let me tell you one of my things, and then I'll get to some things I would try if I was to try to make sure I'm not getting fucked, you know, if I'm coming out for the first time and I don't know anybody in the industry. But going back to one of the things I was trying to put together, so we had and you'll see where I'm going here. We had an A-list producer attached. You know, it's going back into CAA. I wasn't with CAA at that point. I was with Gotham at that point. We're going to A-list directors, like who? Like huge. Like who was on the list? Like Chris Nolan, Oliver Stone, you know, Darren Aronofsky, like that level. So obviously that's going to attract an A-list, you know, talent. So plus I had IP. Plus I had plus the producer was like, if your name was Aaron Sorkin, you'd get $1 million for this. And I knew that wasn't going to happen because my name's not Aaron Sorkin, and I haven't had a bunch of shows already that are hits, right? So that's not going to happen. anything else there? Oh, and I knew the budget, right? Around, you know. I'm no line producer, but I kind of had a sense of what the budget is, right? So I know if they came to me and said, here's scale, I would know that that's bullshit. You know, I would know that that's a bullshit offer and I would turn it down. You know, the number I had in my mind was more like, you know, mid six figures. And if it's not mid six figures, would I have taken lower? A little bit, but not that much. You know, so I had some idea of what I think it could get, you know. That thing, and plus it was positioned to be like, plus I already soft pitched HBO, and they said, yeah, we like it. What else? So the point is, I had a lot of moving parts with it, and you know, so it's like what's do you have attachments? That's what studios care about. You know, and are they big? Are they proven? That's what they care about. So what I'm saying there is you can kind of look at it and get a general sense of what it's worth, you know? So how would you do that if you were, you know, a brand new writer, you're in Iowa or wherever, you've never stepped foot in the industry, you don't know anybody in the industry? Here's something I would do. I would compile a list, and I might go a little long on this one, but hey man, this is for writers who give a fuck about money, who don't want to get ripped off. Where am I at? I'm already at 7 minutes. Okay, so compile a list from the trades, and don't spend all your time on this, because if you're spending all your time on trying to figure out like comps and not writing, that's not good, you know? So like maybe you have a writers group and everybody kind of keeps an eye out for what has sold and this kind of shit, or maybe there's a list every month of what has sold, maybe, and then read all those scripts, you know, because you're going to see around what they sold for, and they'll say like 6 figures, and 6 figures to me in a 6-figure deal, to me that means low, like maybe scale low, you know, or they, you know, mid 6 figures. Okay, so that's like around 400, 500,000, or they might say, you know, high 6 figures, you know, 750, 8, something like that. It's usually round numbers, or, you know, 7 figures, so $1 million plus. So then what you do, read those scripts. Oh, to see what's selling? No, not for that reason. Read it so that you can do the vague budget on it, so you have a sense of, okay, that's what the budget is for that, who's attached to it, like what director, what, you know, talent, what do they make, you know, and then what did the writer get? You know, you can kind of figure out around what the writer got. And is this a first-time writer? Is this like a mid-level writer? Is this a big writer? You know, and you can kind of put that math together a little bit, you know, and then you compare your script, what you write, against those scripts, and do that for like a year, you know, or 6 months, let's say, and only spend 1 day a month, you know, reading this stuff, and the rest of the time writing. Because you're never going to get the knowledge of, you know, an agent, because you don't know what the first offer is. And what would make this a lot easier, and maybe someone does this, and go out there and look for this, you know, maybe there's a list like this on the DL. If there was a list of everything that sold that month or that year or 6 months or quarterly or whatever, lists all the scripts, lists, you know, all the agents, all the agencies and agents, lists the opening offer, lists what it closed at, lists that who's attached to it, and what their deal was, you know, the people above the line. Anything else? the producers, then that would give you and then you read all those scripts, and then you compare your scripts to that, and then that could give you a sense of how to like do comps. Maybe that exists out there. Lastly, when you go to do, you get your offer, right? But by that time, you have wanted to make friends with directors and like working writers, directors, agents, managers. You can do this on Twitter or wherever, social media. And then you get your offer, and then reach out to them and say, hey man, you're already repped by this point, but you're like, hey guys, I got this offer. Can I run it past you, off the record? Because I don't know if I'm getting a good deal or not. And they might be like, yeah, I'll give you my opinion off the record. Not that they're gonna read the script, just like, okay, so who's attached? Like, what studio is it at? Blah, 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 blah. This kind of thing. And they might say, based on the budget of the movie and this and that, yeah, scale's like, for your first time script, that's, whatever. Hey, man, you gotta break in somehow. They might say that, or they might say, no, based on that, it's a bit low, I think. I wouldn't accept it, So, get a second opinion. And that's another thing to ask yourself. Do you have IP attached to this? Like what's your leverage here on your deal? Like with us on one thing. Did I already say this in some other video? You got a book that's 20 million copies sold. Then you can do the math on that, and hit book. And so probably everybody that's read the book, most of them are probably going to go see the movie and bring someone with them, a spouse, friend, whatever. So you do the math on that, and you see the early offer and it's low hundreds. You're like, no way, dude. Doing the math on that, that's around 400 million, in box office. So no, that's not worth it. You can figure that out in less than 60 seconds. So that tells you that that's not the number. So you pass. But those kind of deals are kind of easier to make, right? I gotta go to 15. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of writers feel like their agent is their mommy and will protect them and has a fiduciary responsibility to them, which is true. But the fact is the agent, most agents, 99 at least percent, feel a higher fiduciary responsibility to the company, especially the bigger the agency. And here's where you can, another thing real quick, smaller deals happen slower. Bigger deals happen fast. But here's how you could get fucked, and I'll end with this. I think I hit everything. An agent might take a smaller deal on your script because they're gonna make more money. What? How does that make any sense? That's illogical. They would make more money for the more they sell my script. Not necessarily. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Who's involved? If you got big players involved and the studio's kind of done spending money, and they're like, this brand new writer, then the agent might sell you out and just be like, because they just want that deal to go through to make everybody, all the partners and huge clients happy. And so they would have made, on a scale deal, they would have made, let's round numbers, 100 grand, 10% of that, 10 grand, but they're only gonna make 6, right? But why not just push it out? Give me another 25,000. That's not much more money for them. But if they sell you out for scale, and these people get to make big deals, then later they can go back to the partners and say, hey, that script that was sold for scale, built that deal out into like 20 million. So I deserve more money on my bonus, like 50 grand more. And that's a decent argument. And it happens, boom, okay, you're right, there's 50 grand more. So they made more on their bonus by selling you out. That's why that shit happens, okay? That's some shit you gotta look out for to make sure that's not happening to you, which is why you gotta ask a lot of questions. And a lot of people are afraid of their agents and don't ask questions and just believe whatever their agent says. You know, that's why I think it's good to get a second opinion from other agents and other managers and other, writer friends who've sold shit. I think that's it. I already went 15 minutes. So that's kind of it. Just good luck out there, and hopefully something in there helped. Very difficult question to try to answer. Ask multiple people. Get a second opinion on this very subject if you care about money. Later, guys.